Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. I've just heard it. I was just watching Jan's View, really good show there, and it's a petition require online platforms to remove misinformation for targeting bereaved families. Introduce Jay's Law specific legislations obliging platforms to remove organised misinformation that targets grieving families after tragic death. And it's certainly not organised. I don't know where they've got that from because each individual platform does its own thing. Yes, sometimes we do talk, or sometimes Duncan or Wax will say good point, and vice versa. And it's certainly not basically targeting grieving families. I don't know any platform apart from trolls out there who have targeted grieving families after a tragic death. Mainly for myself, talking for myself, it was to find answers to what happened to Jay. This wasn't about abusing the family. This was actually talking about what the friend says. Brad, Lucy, Brandon, Abe had said the run up into Jay's death. How is that wrong? It's not malicious. What we're doing is basically having a conversation, basically with the public on what they found, which is red flags, which is not adding up. We're allowed to be suspicious about something and uncomfortable in something we don't believe in. And this is completely silly because, like I said, I can't see this being a legislation in people hearing about a case and they don't believe what's happened to the person went on. That is up to each individual person. And the next person that goes out to Tenerife that gets abused and dies, is that going to be the same what happens to them? Don't forget, it was Debbie and the family who came out to the public, wanted public support and help searching for Jay while he was missing before his body was found. And yet they want to make this Jay's Law. Now this case is closed and everyone's basically happy because they've received some kind of money for making a documentary. Totally crazy. And it goes on to say require platforms to act on speculative, malicious content like to cause serious harm or work with Ofcom on enforcement and sanctions. Wow. Wow. I mean, we got to understand what is malicious because what happened to Jay was malicious. And basically, the lies and the cover ups we've seen in this case, which is blatantly to see. Serious harm and work with Ofcom and enforcement and sanctions. More details on this. Families who have suffered tragic deaths have been subjected to organised misinformation, malicious speculations online. I don't think all of it was misinformation, to be honest with you. As our ex COD officers have come out, at least 3 or 4 of them, instead, this case should have been basically criminal and then toned down if it wasn't a criminal investigation, should I saw. It goes on to say their targets grieving families. Which grieving families? I don't understand. There were horrible trolls that were saying some nasty things about Jay and also the family and some of the message she's got. That was awful. But like I said, for the ones who were making videos and basically calling the friends out for not basically telling the truth, I don't think that's wrong in this at all. And don't forget, if you make a GoFundMe and you're asking for public funds at the end of the day to pay for bringing Jay back, surely some of these people, like myself as well, would want answers and answers answered because of the red flags in this case. So it goes, the targets grieving families at this most vulnerable, causing severe additional trauma, distress, and emotional pain. Jay's Law would place clear legal duties on platforms backed by Ofcom enforcement and sanctions to ensure all speculations, organised and malicious content is swiftly removed, protecting grieving families' privacy and dignity and safety. But like I said, who are we talking about? Because like I said, this makes out that is thousands and thousands of people want this to come. Every case that is dodgy is going to be speculated. It's happened basically for years and years, and it will continue going forward. At the end of the day, next you're going to say, look, you can talk about this case to YouTube, and millions and millions of people who've got platforms, and millions of people on TikTok and other sites. You might as well close everything down. That's not going to happen because there's a lot of money in that game. Like I said, and these massive platforms won't. Like I said, yes, I think you have to be careful what you're saying and what you're getting at. But like I said, I think this is just about a specific case, protecting people who know what happened to Jay. Let me know your thoughts, people, because I certainly won't be signing it. Welcome back to Streamline Entertainment. It is Marvin speaking. We're just going to get into a video by Mary Anna about the other side. Let's get straight into this.
Afternoon, TikTokers. Hope you're well, and I hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. It's Friday tomorrow. We made it, finally. We're going to discuss it because a lot of people want to know what the AG group is all about. Now, not going to be naming names because I'm not that way inclined, and I'm a bit bigger and better than these guys when it comes to doxing. But the AG group, formerly known as the Accident Group, these are the people that firmly believe that Jay Slater fell to an accidental death. These are the people that are shutting down content creators that think differently. These are the people that are abusing people on various social media platforms, whether it's YouTube or TikTok. The thing is, what I don't get is the Accident Group / AG Group. They've got hundreds of fake accounts. And like I said, you can spot a fake account from a mile away. They normally have no photo. But the fact is, this group, they have all these fake accounts and they spam your account with a load of abuse. But also the Accident Group, a good way to spot them is if they're screenshotting or screen recording your own content and they're posting it on their own page. But like I made it clear yesterday, Warren did pin a post on his page 2 days ago. And this is an old post that he put up last year. And he thanked everyone that helped, but he wants people to stop talking about it. Now, my question is, I know one of the family members is quite close with one of the AG members. However, I do wonder if the family are aware of the dark side of what's truly going on. I find that interesting. Tag who you want below. Just going to put that out there. But more to the point, the AG group are the ones that are continuing it on. For some other people's cases, like mine. If they had respect for the Slater or Duncan family, you'd think they'd stop with their content too.
Very, very true. It's as though they've got something to prove to themselves, not necessarily to us, to themselves, that this actually happened. I think that's one of the sort of things we have to look at. I do believe that basically they are covering for other people. It's a chain of events and a chain of people which goes right up the ladder. And I know this specific information about CCTV time where Jay was actually found. It seems to sort of get their back up a little bit about it, talking about the Maruba. At the end of the day, meetings in Ireland, Aberdeen, have also caused a lot of stir on their side as well. I think they come out because I do think it's affecting their personal businesses and who they are as a company. I think before they could duck and dive and basically do what they got to do, get away with it and come back out again. But now, obviously, the Jay Slater case being in world media, I do think that it is a complete massive problem for them because their faces are out there. People know who Abe is, Rocky is, and many of the accident crew as well. And like I said, a lot of them have been looked into, and I don't think a lot of them are good people as well. Yes, they probably got financial backing. Yes, they probably got money. Yes, they probably do good business. But like I said, where did that money come from? We don't know. And I don't think Debbie and Warren know half of it. I know Warren probably doesn't anyway. And yes, I just think we are looking out, in my case, for the people involved as Jay's friends in doing this to someone else at the end of the day. Because, like I said, it seemed like to me he was set up because someone owed a debt. Some people owed a debt. And by bringing Jay in, that debt was cleared. And that is a massive possibility. And when you really, really think about it, it does make a lot of sense in what we heard about Brandon in the early days owing somebody else for a brick. So, I mean, these stories can go on and on. And I'm always up for freedom of speech. People can hate. People are always going to hate. You're going to get trolls in the chat all the time. You're going to get people who disagree with you, who've got an aggressive way of dealing with it. That's up to them. But as long as we, as streamliners in the public, Mariana and Duncan and Wax, are thinking logically and practically, we'll get all the answers and we'll get the truth as well. And like I said, I don't think it's far away, because I think people, because it's been so long now, and since Jay was found, and obviously, sadly, he was buried, R.I.P. Jay, but there's still a lot of people, I think, that are more comfortably talking about, not as scared as they once before, and probably carrying things that they saw on their back, or conversations that they've heard through third parties or on Facebook groups, because kids talk, young adults talk, they can't help themselves. At the end of the day, they can't really keep secrets. And this is what someone said. So I think the truth will come out. And like I said, can I be honest with you? We probably know 85%, 90% of it. All it is timeline and CCTV. If we had that and the days things happened, I think we would be spot on. And like I said, obviously we've had people come out, a friend of Lucy's, who come out and said basically a lot of the stuff that we've been saying about Jay, revenge and drugs, and money and taking on a boat, was generally true. And I believe that they were people who were putting stuff out there in the Jay Slater's case to give a reminder that something sinister did happen to him. It is a bizarre world we live in. We've got to be strong. We've got to be upright, and keep believing in what we believe in this case, or you wouldn't get anywhere. I mean, for me to put this case to bed and say, look, it was an accident, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I'd feel I wouldn't be able to sleep, and I'd feel really, really uncomfortable. Let me know your thoughts on what Mariana said, but I think obviously these people are going to continue because, like I said, they haven't got enough to do, and it makes them feel uncomfortable talking about the Jay Slater case. Thank you very much indeed, people. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and obviously Mary Anna's as well. Thank you. Take care. Bye. Welcome back to part 3, people. This is a interesting one, and it's a private message. Obviously, that was the Jay Slater documentary Skull Fracture shown by Dr. Richard Shepherd. I did do a little bit on this, and people think there's more to, obviously, the skull breakage than meets the eye, and that it could have been an attack with a blunt instrument, and rather than a fall, which is interesting, and I think it'll always be a massive topic of conversation. But we're going to move on here, and this is by a private messenger. Hi Marvin, the picture of the 3 males standing on the roadblock, CF attachment from reference Mark Smith Group, fair use, is IMO quite clearly code indicating head injury. The picture was dated before it was published. I understand, but I can't find the original image, which has a date stamp. Did Mama D cover it? She did. I think Ali may have the original photo of this, but I'll have to ask her. However, besides indicating 2 blows to the head, to me there are 3 other codes in the image, namely 1, markings on the stone slabs, number 2, possibly of interest. The young lad is wearing a prominent watch shining in the headlights. Interesting. But most sinister, the 2 males are given an Illuminati devil's horn sign. Why would they do this unless there are serious powers of darkness behind the Slater case? Why are they publishing these hand signals at all unless they are covering messages on behalf of something more? sinister. I agree. I've always said that there's something darker in this case than we can imagine. And those signs, I know people covered them and realised in what they were actually doing. But however, besides indicating 2 blows to the head to me, there are 3 other codes in the image, namely, I can read them again, marking on the stone slabs so people can look at them. I think people have seen the original video of the 3 men standing. A young lad is wearing a prominent watch, shining in the headlights, but most sinister, the 2 males are given an Illuminati devil horn sign. There's a lot more than this that meets the eye. Do you know what? I'm not even sure that's Ayub there. I'm really not too sure that is Ayub, the guy in the hoodie there at the end of the day. But whoever it is basically telling us something else. I mean, is it you know, could this be the mark that Lucy had been to the Airbnb with before? That is something to do with the NRG festival. Who knows? But it's very, very strange. And the one smoking, topping his own head twice, code for knowledge about Jay's injury. Sometimes people speak in codes through their music, through raps, through messages, through pictures. We know there was evil in this case, but like I said, I don't think we can ever prove it. But what we can do is put stuff like this as an examples, and very, very worrying as well for people that are going to go into Tenerife. They get involved with drugs, mess up, and find themselves dead. Let me know what you think, people. Very, very deep stuff today, and obviously this Jay's law. There's got to be massive questions over it as well. I understand and respect what Debbie's been through and the family. It must have been awful losing a son. But when you get people running around like the people that I've mentioned, Brad, Lucy, Brandon, Ayub, and many of the others, doing what they do and possibly done this before. We know that Lucy have set up a GoFundMe before for someone else. It's worrying to see basically if this law's come in and these people, on the other hand, are getting away with murder. Let me know what you think, people. Don't forget to subscribe to Streamline Entertainment and follow the channel. Thank you.